Equals the air was thick with anticipation as I walked through the familiar corridors of Brighton High School. It felt strange to be back here, especially on graduation day, a time meant for celebration, but it also stirred an uncomfortable weight in my chest. Bright blue and gold streamers hung from the ceiling, and the smell of fresh flowers mixed awkwardly with the sweaty odor of dozens of graduating seniors. A part of me wanted to remember this place as it was: the laughter, the friendships, and the dreams. But another part couldn't help but replay the moments that led to this very day, particularly the worst ones. I squeezed the strap of my purse, feeling the slight burn in my palms and the tightness of my throat as I reached the gym where the ceremony was about to take place. The gym buzzed with excitement, filled with the clamor of voices overlapping like a chaotic song. As I pushed through the doors, my heart raced, and I scanned the crowd for familiar faces. Some beamed with pride, their parents capturing every moment with flashes of bright silver from their cameras. Others, like me, wore masks of forced enthusiasm. I tried to find a friend, a supportive ally in this sea of celebration, but instead I only saw the source of my resentment: Jessica. Jessica Reed stood at the front, her head held higher than anyone else's, a crown of shimmering curls cascading over her shoulders. She was surrounded by a group of admirers, effortlessly charming everyone around her. I could hear her laughter slicing through the buzz, a sound that was somehow both soothing and exasperating. Jessica was the girl that everyone loved, the one who had it all: the looks, the confidence, and of course, the perfect grades. It was her fault that my last year of high school had turned into a nightmare. You see, she had decided that my friendship with Tom was an obstacle she had to remove, and remove it she did. "You're just jealous because we were close," she had said, her words dripping with sarcasm during one of our last interactions. "Maybe if you were more fun, he wouldn't have left you." The memory stung like salt on an open wound, and I couldn't shake the feeling that today might just be my chance for a little retribution. The ceremony was about to begin, and I needed to focus. I forced my breathing to steady, filling my lungs with the smell of fresh cut grass that wafted through the open windows. The principal's voice echoed through the microphone, a steady stream of praises and acknowledgments. "Welcome, graduates, families, and friends. What a monumental day this is," he went on, but my mind drifted back to my plan. Today was not just about moving on. It was about showing everyone what true strength looks like. I stood with my fellow graduates, my cap perched uneasily on my head. As the principal called us forward for our diplomas, I felt a strange mix of anger and determination. One by one, my classmates walked across that stage, beaming with pride, but I would not be swept away in their excitement. I reached deep within myself to find that fierce resolve, the part of me that refused to be diminished any longer. "Clara Jennings," announced the principal. I stepped forward, looking out into the crowd. My parents were there, smiling through the tears streaming down their cheeks. I could see their pride shining bright, but it felt like disappointment echoed under the surface, especially knowing how lost I had been in my battle with Jessica and her lies. I accepted my diploma with a stiff nod, forcing a smile as I returned to my place. As I walked back, I caught Jessica's eye from the stage, and suddenly the emptiness inside me ignited with anger. She grinned, a wickedly sweet smile that sent shivers down my spine. I took a deep breath, reminding myself of the small plan I had cooked up over the past couple of months. "Just wait, Jessica," I whispered under my breath. "You have no idea what's coming." The ceremony wrapped up, and as we tossed our caps into the air, I tried to ignore the overwhelming cheer around me. Laughter filled the air, and as friends embraced, I decided that now was the time. I needed to be strategic, start small, and gather my audience before unveiling my masterpiece. I found a quiet corner outside the gym, the sun warming my skin. I could still hear the chatter of celebration inside, but out here it just felt peaceful. As I took a moment to gather my thoughts, I pulled out my phone, glancing at Jessica's latest post on social media. She was flaunting her perfect life as usual, the captions drenched in sentimentality. Part of me felt sick looking at it, but I shook my head to rid myself of that feeling. Today was about me and reclaiming my voice. "Hey, Clara!" A soft voice pulled me from my thoughts, and I turned to see Chloe, my best friend since kindergarten. Her curly lashes fluttered as she approached me, her smile genuine and bright. "Congratulations on graduating." "Thanks, Chloe," I said, forcing a smile. "Feels surreal, doesn't it?" "It really does. Are you excited about college?" she asked, her voice light but with an undertone of concern. I could tell that Chloe sensed something heavier lurking beneath my cheer, and she was right to be worried. "I mean, it is a fresh start." "Definitely," I replied, crossing my arms. "But I think I need to deal with some unfinished business first." Chloe raised an eyebrow, her brow scrunching together in confusion. "Unfinished business? What do you mean?" I took a deep breath, feeling nervous but also exhilarated. "I am going to show Jessica that she can't just walk all over people and get away with it. Clara, she just graduated too. Can't you just let it go?" Chloe's tone was cautious, her eyes darting around as though she were worried someone would overhear. "No, I can't," I said firmly. "She thinks she's invincible, and maybe I just want to remind her that it's a long way down." Chloe hesitated, a worried frown deepening on her forehead. Not everything has to end with revenge. Sometimes it's better just to move on. You deserve to enjoy your graduation. I sighed, shaking my head. It's not about enjoyment anymore, Chloe. I want to take back my power. I want to remind her that I was never the weak one. Chloe pursed her lips, contemplating my fierce tone. Just be careful, okay? I don't want to see you hurting more than you already are. Trust me, I'm in control, I said, feeling more confident with each word. I will show everyone who I really am. As the last of the crowd began to disperse, I turned back toward the gym, my heart hammering. The ambience shifted from celebration to anticipation. I was ready. The sun sank lower, casting a golden glow around the school, almost as if it colored the last remnants of our childhood in shades of warmth before we stepped into a chilling reality of adulthood. As I prepared to make my move, I spotted Jessica again, this time strutting outside with a group of friends, her laughter ringing out like music. The sight made my stomach turn. She was so absorbed in her moment that she didn't even notice what I had brewing. A plan formed in my mind, strong enough to cut through the clamor of emotions swirling around me. Today, I whispered, eyes narrowed and determined, is the last time you will overshadow me. I felt a shiver run down my spine, not from fear but from excitement. I made my way into the school one last time, the halls echoing with fading noise as I searched for a specific location. It was time to set my plan in motion, to finally take action against Jessica Reed. Her reign wouldn't just end today, I would ensure it would linger in the minds of everyone she crossed. I rounded the corner to the stairwell leading down to the basement, where most of the forgotten memories from our classes had congregated. This school had become a labyrinth of echoes to me, a puzzle where Jessica occupied far too many of the pieces. But today I held a few missing ones of my own. Reaching the empty lobby of the basement, I paused before the old janitor's closet. The faded sign creaked softly, an ominous reminder of the secrets that came and went within those four walls. I pushed the door open, glancing inside. Dust clung to the corners and brooms leaned haphazardly against the walls, but I spotted exactly what I needed, a half-full bucket of paint and a stack of brushes piled on the shelf above. With the door closed behind me, the sound of the graduation chaos faded, replaced by the pulse of my racing heart. I grabbed a brush and dipped it into the murky paint, the sensation thick and gritty as it clung to the bristles. I felt exhilarated, a rush of determination fueling my every move. Let's get started, I whispered to myself, glancing around to ensure I was indeed alone. The plan formed in my mind, an unspoken form of retribution that would capture attention. It was time to remind Jessica who she had been dealing with all along. With each stroke on the cardboard I had propped up against the closet door, I poured my frustrations into the art. I was crafting something bold and audacious, a personal statement that would echo through the school and beyond. My fingers felt alive as I moved, blending colors and writing words I needed to express. When I stepped back to examine my work, I felt a grin stretch across my face. It was more than just paint on a surface. It was my catharsis, my release, and soon enough, it would also be Jessica's downfall. Illusions were going to shatter, and I would finally be able to take my stand. I couldn't wait for the world to see what I had created. I stood on the edge of the pier, the salty breeze tugging at my hair, swirling it around like a whirlwind that mimicked the chaos inside me. The sun hung low, casting a golden hue over the water, transforming the waves into ribbons of liquid gold that danced under the last vestiges of daylight. I leaned against the weathered wooden railing, the rough surface biting into my palms as I gazed out into the vastness of the ocean. Little boats bobbed gently, their sails fluttering in the breeze, so carefree in the twilight, unlike the storm brewing within me. Just 2 nights ago, the scene had played out clearly in front of my eyes, Lucas Baker with that signature cocky grin of his. It infuriated me. There he was, standing in the center of the crowded bar, laughter pouring out of his mouth like the drinks spilling over the edge of the counter. The popular golden boy of Brighton saw nothing but applause. Meanwhile, I stood in the corner, a forgotten shadow of the girl he had decided to betray. I still felt the sting of betrayal, as fresh as the day he had broken my heart. In that moment, I knew I needed to plan my revenge. Clara, the familiar voice broke my thoughts, pulling me back to reality. I turned to see Megan sauntering toward me, her auburn curls bouncing with each step. She wore a summer dress that billowed in the breeze, a stark contrast to the weight pressing down on my chest. My best friend had always been the optimistic one, but right now, even that light felt dimmed. "Hey Meg," I replied, forcing a smile that did not quite reach my eyes. She leaned against the railing next to me, and I could see the concern in her hazel eyes as she studied my face. I hated that look. I hated knowing that my pain was written all over me. "I heard about the bar incident. Mind telling me what happened?" she asked, her voice gentle, soft like the clouds swirling above us. I let out a shaky breath, contemplating how much to reveal. Lucas was there. With her, I admitted, the bitterness seeping into my words. He was acting like I didn't exist, like everything that happened between us was nothing. That jerk, she muttered indignantly, her eyes blazing. Seriously, Clara, you deserve better than that. The way he treated you was awful. You should just forget about him. Forget, huh? I let out a humorless laugh, my frustration bubbling to the surface. I wish it were that easy, but it's not just forgetting, it's revenge. I can't just let him walk away thinking he got away with everything. Megan raised an eyebrow, shifting her weight. Revenge, is that really what you want? You don't want to sink to his level, Clara, you're better than that. I turned to her, want and anger wrestling within me. Better than that, he humiliated me. I want him to feel what I felt. I want him to realize what he lost. But being vengeful won't bring you peace, she insisted, her tone firm. Look, I get it, really, I do. But there are other ways to deal with it. As I looked into her eyes, I could see she genuinely believed what she was saying, but she didn't know the depths of my pain. You're not the one who stood by him, believing in him only to be cast aside for someone else. This isn't just hurt, it's betrayal, and I don't know how to move on. Sharp cracks of emotion radiated through me, and as I spoke, I felt my pulse quicken. Megan reached out and rested her hand on my shoulder, her touch calming. I sighed heavily, taking a breath and letting the salty air fill my lungs. I don't want to feel like this anymore, Meg. I don't want him to ruin my life, so if I have to enact some kind of revenge to regain my sense of self, then I will. Her expression softened. What exactly do you have in mind? I hesitated for a moment. I had thought about it, of course. An idea was forming, but I hadn't fully shaped it yet, like a sculptor removing the rough edges from the stone. I want to make him regret it. I want to show him that I'm happy and thriving without him. Megan frowned, chewing on her lip, thoughtful. So you want to make him jealous? I can help with that. We can go out, meet new people, show him you're living your best life. That's not what I mean, I interrupted, my voice a sharp whisper. This is deeper than just showing off. I want him to understand the pain he caused me. I want him to suffer even just a little. I want him to regret the day he pushed me away. Megan shook her head, her curls bouncing wildly. Clara, I don't think that is the answer. You don't want to be that person. You want to be able to breathe easy again. Is this really going to help you heal? I looked away from her, biting the inside of my cheek, processing her words. This was it. I had to push forward with my thoughts, no matter how dark they felt. What if I could get inside his head, you know? What if I could make him second-guess everything about who he is? What if he starts to see me everywhere, seeing how amazing everything is without him? I want him to feel regret not just because he lost me, but because he traded something worth keeping for something shallow. Clara, Megan's voice was softer now, as if she were trying to reach out to the part of me that yearned for peace. What do you mean? You're talking about a plan? Maybe, I said slowly, pondering how to weave my thoughts into something clear. I will get involved with someone he knows, someone to make him question his decisions. If he watches me move on and be happy, it'll gnaw at him, make him jealous. That's how I'll show him he was wrong. Maybe I will start dating Ryan Wilkins. Ryan has always had a thing for me and Lucas hates him. It might just work. Oh no, not Ryan. Megan's eyes widened, horror creeping into her voice. Clara, you really don't want to go that route. You'll end up in a twisted love triangle and it may hurt more than help. It's just, Ryan's perfect, I interrupted, a surge of adrenaline rushing through me. He's charming, funny, and he's been into me since high school. Lucas would hate knowing I chose someone he considers a loser. It's genius. Potential disaster is more like it. Megan shot back, her expression frantic. I know Ryan and he is a great guy, but this feels wrong. It could blow up in your face. I don't care. He treated me badly. I want him to feel an ounce of the pain he caused me, I replied, my voice sharpened by determination. My heart is already broken. How can I make it worse? If you're going to do this, Megan hesitated, glancing around as if searching for answers in the wind. You need to ensure that this doesn't consume you. You can be strong without hurting others, Clara. You've got to be careful about your heart in this. I smiled ruefully, shaking my head. You think he ever considered my heart when he tossed me aside for someone else? I'm not interested in being gentle. This is about reclaiming what was taken from me. A shiver ran down my spine, a mix of excitement and trepidation striking at my core. Well, if you're set on this path, Megan said, her voice low but accepting. I will help you. Just promise me it doesn't turn into something twisted. Twisted how? It's just bringing a little taste. I allowed a smirk to tug at my lips, picturing Lucas's face when he saw me with Ryan or anybody else for that matter. Karma's necessary. As long as you're sure you can keep it light, I'm in, she said, her brow furrowing ever so slightly, casting a shadow over her eyes. But remember who you are beneath this pain. Don't forget your own values in the process. I looked out at the waves crashing against the pylons beneath us, the water echoing the conflict churning in my heart. I won't, I promised, trying to reassure both her and myself. This is about reclaiming my identity, who I am without him. I was fired up, ready to start my plan with newfound energy. Megan sighed and took a step back, giving the ocean a cursory glance. Let's chat more about the details, but we must be wise about it. I nodded, the spark of hope igniting within me again. I know we're going to figure this out, Meg. I felt a little pang of doubt creep in, but I shoved it aside. I could do this. With my best friend backing me, I felt stronger even if it was fueled by bitterness. That night I didn't sleep much. I focused on crafting my strategy, my mind racing with possibilities and details. It felt almost exhilarating, picturing every scene, imagining how Lucas would react when he saw me laughing with Ryan at the local cafe, how his face would twist with jealousy as he realized he had lost more than a girlfriend. I wanted him to see that I was thriving, that the girl he had underestimated could become something more, someone without him. By morning, my mind was clear, and I felt almost reckless with excitement. Soon enough, my heart swelled with anticipation. Revenge could very well be the fuel I needed to start moving forward. It was time to teach Lucas that Clara Jennings was not just a girl who would sit back and take his betrayal quietly. No, I was ready to shine brighter than he had ever imagined. And I would show him. I stood in the dimly lit corner of the cramped pub, my heart beating in calculated rhythm as I sipped my drink. The low hum of conversation around me felt like a background score to my unfolding plan. The walls were dusty green, aged wood and faded posters clinging to them, each telling a story that existed before my time in this town. I did not come to reminisce. No, this was the night, and I was ready to execute my carefully crafted revenge against the one person who had wronged me beyond belief. Hey, Clara, you look like you're plotting something, Ivy, my best friend, said with a teasing smile, pulling me out of my thoughts. She was seated beside me, her blonde curls bouncing as she leaned in closer, curiosity dancing in her blue eyes. I forced a smile, but I could feel the tension hidden beneath my facade. Oh, just thinking about life, I replied vaguely, wishing I could confide in her, but the truth was too raw, too dangerous to share. Ivy raised an eyebrow. Life, come on, spill it. Are you still upset about Jason? The mention of Jason sent a surge of anger coursing through my veins. Jason, my former best friend and the architect of my misery, had shattered my world without a second thought. The more I thought about him, the more I yearned for that sweet taste of revenge. I am over him, I lied, the warmth of my drink contrasting with the chill in my heart. It's time to focus on bigger things. Like what? She pressed, her gaze piercing through my pretense. Like making a change in this town, I replied, my voice firmer, trying to divert the conversation. Ivy was nothing if not persistent. She loved probing into my mind as if it was an open book. I have some ideas on how to get people more involved in local events. Ivy smiled again, tilting her head. That sounds great, but if you ever want to talk about what really matters. I shook my head, cutting her off before she could dive any deeper. I appreciate your concern, Ivy, but really, I promise I am fine. As she took a swig of her drink, her eyes still scrutinizing mine, I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. It had been weeks since the betrayal had encapsulated my thoughts, but tonight required more than just thoughts. It was time to act. At that moment, the door swung open with a loud creak, and a gust of chilly wind swept through the pub. I glanced over my shoulder, and there he was. Jason Anderson, the source of my pain. He strolled in like he owned the place, a cocky smile spreading across his face as he greeted our old friends, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside of me. His dark hair was messily pushed to one side, and his leather jacket clung to him like a second skin. The very image of everything I had despised. Ivy turned to follow my gaze and whispered, him. The disdain in her voice matched my own. Just keep your head down for now, I murmured, my heart racing as I felt the weight of every memory associated with him. All the laughter, the fun, those treacherous moments when we shared secrets as best friends until he crossed the line. I swallowed hard, steeling myself for what was about to come. As Jason made his way to the bar, chuckles erupted from the small group of people gathered around him. I couldn't help but notice how they hung on his every word, as if he was a charismatic leader who could do no wrong. What a fool, I thought, the bitterness pouring from my heart like a cracked dam. Ivy leaned closer again, whispering, what's your plan? It's written all over your face. I need to confront him, I whispered back, biting the inside of my cheek. It's time. Be careful, she cautioned. You know how he can be. I nodded, though the thrill of adrenaline was already coursing through me. I had rehearsed every word, every glance, every moment of this confrontation a million times in my head. Jason needed to know the pain he inflicted on me. I escaped from our shared misery, and it was time he learned how I had turned my life around. I took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of beer and nostalgia, and rose from my seat. As I approached the bar, the laughter from Jason's group faded. They sensed my intent, their cheerful banter replaced by a heavy silence. Jason turned slightly, his deep brown eyes locking onto mine, and for a brief moment I felt exposed like a deer trapped in headlights. But then I remembered why I was here, and anger surged through me. Jason, I said, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions. He looked at me with an expression that seemed almost bored, as if he barely cared who I was anymore despite our shared history. Clara, he replied casually, a nonchalant wave of his hand dismissing me as if I was just an insignificant speck in his perfectly polished world. I clenched my fists at my sides. We need to talk. Do we? He leaned back against the bar, taking a leisurely sip of his drink. I am really busy right now. I felt the anger bubble within me, but I forced it back. This is important. He sighed, rolling his eyes, and finally turned to face me fully. His smirk was maddening, a reminder of all the times I had allowed him to manipulate me. Okay, shoot, what's on your mind? The room swirled around me. I could see Ivy watching from the sidelines, her eyes wide. Each heartbeat felt like a drum signaling my moment of reckoning. You think it is okay to just walk away from our friendship after what you did? He raised an eyebrow, an air of arrogance enveloping him. Oh, please, Clara, it was a mistake. I was young. We were young. It was years ago. Why are you still stuck on it? Something snapped inside me and my voice rose. Because it wasn't just a mistake, you completely destroyed my world. Do you even understand the impact of what you did? At that, several heads turned in our direction, people whispering and shifting uncomfortably. Jason shrugged, seemingly unfazed by the rising tension. Come on, it can't be that bad. Can't be that bad? I scoffed, my voice dripping with disbelief. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You spread terrible rumors about me. Do you think it was just some fun game to you? I watched as the smirk faltered slightly and something flickered in his eyes. Perhaps it was guilt, or maybe it was annoyance. I thought we were past this, Clara. It was high school. He waved it off like it was a mere inconvenience. It is never just high school. I stepped closer, the space between us charged with raw emotion. You don't get to decide how long the scars last, Jason. You don't get to control the narrative. He opened his mouth as if to retort, but I continued, my words spilling out like hot lava. You think everything revolves around you, don't you? That your actions don't matter because you can just stride past the wreckage and pretend it does not exist. But I am not your plaything. He straightened, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his stance. So what, you are going to blame me forever, huh, for being young and stupid? Yes, yes, I will, I shouted, drawing more stairs. My heart hammered in my chest, every beat fueling my courage. You think you can just stroll in here and act like you have the perfect life? The truth is, you've ruined me in ways you cannot even comprehend. You took my trust and shattered it, and I have spent years trying to rebuild. In his eyes, a flicker of realization began to dawn. I could see the wheels turning as he processed my words, but I knew I had to push harder. You owe me this conversation. You owe me an apology. His expression hardened. Apology? You were the one who left. I moved on. You should too. I stepped back, the sting of his words pulling back my resolve. You think just moving on means escaping the damage you've done? You can't outrun responsibility, Jason. Not anymore. The other patrons in the bar shifted, clearly entertained, caught in the middle of our drama. I recognized how absurd this moment had become, standing there calling out my former best friend, but the satisfaction it brought me outweighed any embarrassment. Is this what you wanted? A little drama? Jason laughed, mocking my vulnerability. I could feel my cheeks heat with anger and humiliation, but I refused to back down. I want you to see me for who I am. I snapped, my voice rising. Not the girl you thought you could use and discard. You don't define who I am anymore. Hesitated, the confidence in his demeanor wavering. Look, Clara, what happened between us? There you go again, I interrupted. You want to brush it off like it was nothing. It was everything to me. Jason looked away, his jaw clenched. What do you want from me? You really think I am going to lose sleep over something that happened years ago? I can't change it. No, I said, my heart racing, but you can acknowledge it. Just admit what you did was wrong. Just say it. He shook his head. This is pointless. Pointless? I scoffed, my frustration heightening. You came back here to the very place where it all started. You cannot just play it cool and act like the past does not exist. Just say the words, Jason, just once. You owe me that. Fine, I am sorry if you still feel hurt by the past. Is that enough? Your apology is as empty as your conscience. I shot back, every word heavy with resentment. I could feel the thrill of revenge wrapping itself around me like an adrenaline rush. This was more than just a confrontation, it was liberation. He looked vaguely bewildered and mumbled something incoherent. I pressed on, relentless. I deserved better from you. I deserved better from everyone, including myself. You have no idea the strength it took to reclaim my identity after what you did. With that, I turned on my heel, leaving Jason to stew in the aftershocks of our confrontation and walking back toward my friend. I could feel the eyes still on me, whispers trailing in my wake like shadows, but for the first time in years I felt empowered. As I rejoined Ivy at the table, she looked at me in awe. You did it, you stood up to him. I had to, I replied, my heart still racing but filled with a newfound sense of clarity. If I do not hold him accountable, who will? But did you feel any better? Ivy asked, concern etching her features. I will let you know when I am not shaking with adrenaline, I admitted, cupping my drink thoughtfully. But the weight feels a little lighter. I realized tonight that being angry is not all bad. It can be a catalyst for change, for progress. Ivy smiled, slowly nodding. You are right, Clara, you are so much stronger than you know. As we finished our drinks, I could feel the pieces of my past slowly shifting. A mission was born tonight, and it was time for a different kind of redemption. I would not simply be the girl who was wronged. I would become the architect of my own story. The road to revenge was steep and winding, but I was willing to traverse every dark corner to reclaim what was rightfully mine, my voice, my strength, my power. As Jason's laughter echoed down the bar, I knew this was just one battle. There were more to come, and I was ready. The world had better watch out. There was a storm brewing in Brighton, and I was right at the center of it. The air felt heavier as I made my way towards the abandoned pier. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky a bruise of deep purples and blues, and the distant sound of waves crashing against the weather-beaten wood pulled me further into my thoughts. Each step reverberated with determination, and nerves twisted in my stomach like 1,000 angry butterflies. This was it, the confrontation I had been waiting for, the final act of my long and weary revenge. My heart pounded in time with the rhythm of the ocean, reminding me of the confrontation that lay ahead. As I neared the pier, the scent of salt and decay filled the air. I had chosen this desolate spot carefully. It was a reminder of everything they had taken from me, my grandmother, my childhood, my sense of safety. I could almost hear her laughter echoing from the past, a sweet melody drowned out by the bitter taste of betrayal. I had prepared for this moment for too long to turn back now. My heart raced, not with fear, but with a deep-seated desire for justice or perhaps vengeance that surged through my veins like fire. The old wooden dock creaked beneath my weight as I stepped onto it, the sound empty and hollow under the shimmering moonlight. I paused, taking a moment to breathe in the scent of the sea, grounding myself as I reminded myself of my purpose here. I looked out over the water, the waves dancing like ghosts in the moonlight, and I could almost hear their whispers encouraging me. "You are strong. You are brave. Finish what you started." The voices of those lost were like an elixir, urging me on. Suddenly, the soft yet deliberate sound of footsteps broke the rhythmic rushing of the waves. I turned slowly, my heart skipping a beat as I saw the familiar silhouette emerging from the shadows. Then, my hands clenched into fists at my sides, anger and sorrow intertwining inside me. He had changed little since I last saw him. The same sly grin flashed across his face as he stepped into the silver light. "Clara," he drawled, his voice smooth like honey masking poison. "I didn't think you'd actually show up." "Course I would," I replied, forcing my voice to steady despite the tremor I felt inside. "You had the nerve to come after me, Ben, and I wanted to know why. Come on, you know how it is. We were just having some fun. Besides, you were a little too naive to connect the dots." He leaned against the railing, casually lifting a can of beer to his lips like a mindless jock, his bravado grating against my nerves. I had always hated how easily he wore his confidence. "What did you think would happen?" "You think you de-scare me? You've got to be kidding." I scoffed, trying to keep my cool but feeling fury bubbling just beneath the surface. "You stole my life from me, Ben, and then laughed about it as if it was some grand joke." The memories surged back, the images flashing through my mind like a chaotic slideshow. The instant he set Matthew against the wall, laughter invading that space where happiness used to exist, the violence, the friendships turned to dust. "Come on, Clara, you should have been tougher. I thought you were smarter than that." His words dripped with arrogance, and I could see it now, the way he derived pleasure from inciting my rage. I stepped closer, my breath quickening. "Smarter? This has nothing to do with intelligence. I was just the one who believed in you, who thought there was good in you, but I see the truth now." My voice grew steadier as I spoke. "You are nothing but a coward hiding behind false bravado." His expression soured, the grin faded, replaced by an anger that rippled beneath the surface. "Coward, look who's talking. You're the one standing there waiting for the other shoe to drop. I didn't break you, Clara. You broke yourself by letting them control you." "Control me?" Rage surged through me, igniting an even deeper bitterness. "You think this is about them? You made choices, Ben. You chose to hurt people, and now it's time for you to answer for that." He straightened, stepping away from the railing, the facade of relaxed confidence replaced by tension. "What do you want from me? You came out here to play the Avenger. That's cute, really." "Cute?" I spat, the word heavy with anger. "Do you ever think of the people you wronged, of how your actions have ruined lives? Matthew, my grandmother, do you even think about them?" He shrugged, a spark of irritation flickering in his dark eyes. "What's done is done. You can't just go back and change it. You're wasting your time trying to make me feel guilty." "I won't let you get away with it," I declared, my voice echoing against the wooden beams of the pier. "I will make you understand the pain you've caused, to feel even a fraction of what I have felt. No one should have that much power over another." "You really think you can take me down?" he said, laughter lacing his tone, though his voice held more venom than before. "You're still that scared little girl hiding behind your books and dreams. Life's not a fairy tale, Clara. You need to grow up." I inhaled deeply, the salty air filling my lungs, anchoring me. The little girl he once knew was gone. I was no longer afraid of him. "You think I'm still scared? The Clara you knew vanished the night you chose to betray me. What you see in front of you is someone who has learned to embrace her rage." His expression hardened as I stepped closer. I could see the cracks forming in his confidence and the way my words were sticking to him like resin. "So what is this then? You're going to throw a punch, surprise me with some twisted plot?" The tension between us crackled, an electric charge atmosphere thick with anticipation. "No, Ben, I won't underground myself to your level. I am done playing games. That would be too easy for you." "What does that mean?" "Remember how you like to keep a record of your little feats?" I asked, hatred bubbling beneath my calm demeanor. "All those moments when you thought you were invincible?" He shifted uncomfortably, and for an instant the bravado slipped, revealing the nervous boy I once knew. What are you talking about? I found the pictures you took. You thought they were just a joke, a trophy of dominance, but they were something else entirely. Evidence. I allowed my words to sink in, savoring the confusion that colored his expression. You see, it is all documented, those nights at the party, all the times you humiliated people while prancing around like a king. And I don't just mean Matthew or me, I'm talking about the whole group. This story has been told, but the writer has changed. What are you trying to do? Blackmail me? You think that's going to make me squirm? His bravado began to lose its harsh edge as he tried to regain control, but I wasn't done yet. It's not just about blackmail, Ben, I said, my voice steady and clear. You have no idea the lengths I will go to ensure you understand just how trivial you've made the lives of those around you. You made your choices, now it is time for you to face the people you hurt, and you will face me too. You think I have the power to break you financially, emotionally, or socially? Well, you are wrong. His eyes narrowed, scanning my expression for any sign of doubt, but he would not find it. What do you want? His voice was lower now, serious. I knew I had struck a chord. What do I want? I stepped even closer, feeling the power start to shift in my direction. I want you to sit there and hear the stories of every person you've wronged, every person who suffered because of your twisted sense of fun. I want you to look into their eyes and see the pain you caused. If I manage to pull this off, it will change you forever. He scoffed, but I could see the threat in my words weighed his choices heavily. You think this is an easy walk for you? You think I will just sit down while you parade your victims around? You're dreaming. No, I'm making it a reality, Ben. You'll be the star of the show whether you like it or not. You will face those you hurt during the performance of your own making. The air between us was taut, every word echoing like a ripple on water, and I could feel the weight of impending change lingering everywhere around us. You're insane, he yelled, but I saw fear flicker in his eyes. Insanity can be an effective catalyst for change, Ben. It is your choice whether this becomes your nightmare or a chance to redeem yourself in ways unimaginable. I took one more step forward, the moon casting shadows around us. I am going to bring those people. I am going to give them their voices back, give them their strength. Will you steal that from them too? He clenched his jaw, uncertainty washing over his features as if a storm was brewing just beneath the surface. And if I refuse? What then? Then we'll see how far I am willing to go and how far you've fallen, Ben. But understand this, I will not allow you to fade away in your hollow victory. You need to see what you have ripped away from everyone around you, including yourself. And if I decide to fight, his bravado lingered, but the weight of my resolve was evident even through his defiance. I will fight with every ounce of what I am. This is the beginning, the moment where it all ends, one way or another. I felt empowered. I had taken the narrative and twisted it into something he could not ignore. The quieting of the waves filled the air as silence fell between us for a moment, a standoff charged with tension. I could feel Ben grappling for an answer, analyzing his options as if weighing the consequences of each choice. You really think you can just come here and dictate my life? He finally said, albeit with uncertain fervor. Who do you think you are? I am Clara Jennings, and I am done being silenced. I am done being the victim of your whims and games. You may have led me down this twisted path, but now I am the one who will light the way. As I spoke those words, the reality of my convictions settled around us. Ben stepped back, uncertainty flushing through his features as his bravado began to unravel. He looked lost, cornered like a once mighty lion now trapped in a cage of his own making. You're not serious, he muttered, almost to himself. I am completely serious, and you will do what needs to be done. My voice held firm, unyielding. I could hear my pulse pounding in my ears as I awaited his response. Ben's eyes burned with an internal flame at that moment, a battle raging behind his gaze. Fine, he said slowly, the cocky demeanor slipping further. If you want to play this game, we'll play. But do remember, the higher you climb, the harder you will fall. A chill coursed through me, the air laden with anticipation as our confrontation finally shifted. Then let this begin, I said, steeling myself for the storm ahead. Let this be the moment you finally confront the monster you created. Let this be the reckoning you never saw coming. The weight of this promise hung heavily in the air between us, the darkness of the night pulsating with renewed purpose. I had stepped beyond the boundaries of the past, ready to bring forth the change I had dreamt of for so long. Ben was perhaps still a coward at heart, but I could sense a flicker of respect intertwining with fear in his gaze. In that moment I felt alive, a fire igniting within me. Let's see if you're strong enough to walk the path you've set out for yourself, he spat, but I could see uncertainty gnawing at him. Oh, you have no idea just how fierce I can be. I smiled, a smile filled with newfound determination and dark satisfaction. As I turned to leave, the weight of the night hung in the air, one final echo of what was to come. The moon above bore witness to my resolve, lighting up the dark waters below as I stepped off the pier, feeling more powerful than ever. No longer was I a victim, I was an avenger. And this was only the beginning. I stood in front of the once familiar, now tainted, facade of the Mendez Company's headquarters, my heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an orange glow that illuminated the site of my past. It felt almost poetic, this transformation of a corporate lair, the very place where I had been wronged, turning into a backdrop where I would finally reclaim my story. I could almost hear the whispers of my torment in the wind, but this time they were drowned out by the thumping beat of my resolution. I tightened my grip on the folder in my hand. It was my secret weapon filled with irrefutable evidence of everything I had uncovered, the lies, deceit, and downright treachery that had turned my life upside down. I took a deep breath, the salty breeze from the nearby ocean filling my lungs, and I reminded myself of why I stood here. This was not just about revenge, but about liberation. As I stepped through the sliding doors, the sleek interior felt sterile, with polished marble floors and the scent of overpriced cologne wafting around me. The hustle and bustle of employees in their tailored outfits passed by, unaware of the storm brewing within my chest. I approached the receptionist, a young woman who looked up from her screen, her expression blank but polite. "Good morning. May I help you?" "Yes, I have a meeting with Mr. Mendez," I replied, forcing a steady voice that belied the whirlwind of nerves swirling inside me. "Name?" she asked, peering at her computer. "Clara Jennings." A flicker of recognition crossed her face. "Oh, of course, wait just a moment." She picked up the phone, murmured something that I didn't catch, and then hung up, still watching me intently. My pulse quickened. I felt like she could see right through me, the very essence of my being pulsating with anticipation and fear. The wait felt like an eternity before she gestured for me to follow her. "This way." I walked behind her, each step echoing my determination. I had come so far, countless nights might have passed as I combed through documents, talked to former employees, piecing together a narrative that would unveil the corruption hiding behind Mendez's charming facade. We reached a sleek wooden door that she knocked on lightly. "Mr. Mendez, Clara Jennings is here to see you." "Send her in," came the voice from inside, smooth yet commanding. The receptionist opened the door and gestured for me to enter, stepping back as if the tension were tangible. "Clara." He stood up to greet me, his smile sprawling across his face like a calculated charm. "What a surprise, I didn't expect to see you so soon." "Nor did I," I replied, clasping my hands tightly together to help temper the tremor lurking beneath my skin. "I actually came to discuss some matters concerning the company." His enthusiasm receded slightly, and I caught that glimmer of wariness in his eyes, an acknowledgement that there was something beneath the surface. "Oh, what matters would those be? Why don't we sit down?" I gestured toward the plush chairs in front of his desk, my heart hammering as I mulled over how to unweave the tapestry of deceit I had uncovered. "There is much to discuss." He motioned for me to take a seat, and I settled into the cushion, adjusting my posture to feign a sense of calm that I was far from achieving. "Clara, we can handle these matters in a more amicable way. Let's not get too dramatic." "Dramatic?" I scoffed, my spirit igniting. "You mean like how you ruined my life?" "My father's life? The dramatic way in which you turned a blind eye to the environmental damage your company is responsible for?" The fire in my voice surprised even me, but I maintained my composure. "You cannot burden me with the past," he said, leaning forward, his expression hardening. "Business is about moving forward, and I did what was necessary." Necessary? I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins, each word driving me closer to the edge of reason. "You destroyed families for profit. You lied and cheated your way to the top while people suffered. I have proof." I slid the folder across his polished oak desk, expecting fear to flash in his eyes. Instead, he picked it up and leafed through the contents with an eyebrow raised, feigning boredom. "Is this supposed to frighten me, Clara?" He chuckled, curling his lip in disdain. "You think this will change anything?" "Let's not pretend you are above the law, Mr. Mendez," I replied, confident that my research would drop a bombshell on him. "Did you think I wouldn't dig deep enough to find the dirt? That I wouldn't discover all the invoices, the internal memos that discussed cutting corners and bribing officials?" His smile faltered slightly, and I could see the moment he realized the gravity of my revelations. "Clara," he began, but I interrupted him. "I'm giving you a chance to make this right. There are many people willing to speak out against you, and they won't stop if this goes public. It is time for you to face the consequences of your actions." "I have resources, Clara," he boasted, puffing up his chest. "I can make you disappear without anyone batting an eye." "Is that a threat?" I stood up, fury replacing my nerves. "Because let me tell you something, this is not just about me. This is about everyone. The people you have exploited, the ecosystems you have destroyed. I won't back down." "Then what do you want, Clara?" He leaned back in his chair, the air between us thick with tension, a smug grin threatening to creep back onto his face. "If it is solely about revenge, that will make this much easier." "Revenge?" I let out a short, sharp laugh. "No, what I seek is justice. You see, I've already compiled enough evidence that the authorities would want to take a serious look into your operations. The environmental allegations, the financial discrepancies, everything is documented and verified." You wouldn't, he said, his voice suddenly cold, laced with a venom thicker than the tension in the air. You've underestimated me for far too long. I'm not afraid of you or your threats. Bold words, Clara, but do you really comprehend the game you're playing? He leaned closer, his demeanor shifting to something more calculating, like a predator sizing up its prey. I'm not playing, Mr. Mendez. The game ended the moment you crossed the moral line. He let out a low chuckle, one that sent a chill down my spine. You really think the authorities will believe you? They would rather sweep this under the rug just as I would. That may have worked in the past, I replied, my mind racing through all the connections I had made. But public sentiment is shifting. People care more about accountability now than they did just a few years ago. You've built empires on the backs of the weak, and that is crumbling. Besides, I have allies. Like those disgruntled employees, he scoffed, you are fooling yourself. Those disgruntled employees happen to be sticking together. I already have several former employees ready to speak against you. When the truth comes out, losing a few disgruntled employees will be the least of your concerns. There are ways of dealing with nuisances like you, he threatened, his tone dropping, becoming icy. Really? What would you recommend? Please enlighten me. Chuckled again, but this time it felt more like a warning than a jest. You may think you have everything figured out, but I assure you my reach is far greater than you anticipate. My heart raced again, but I forced myself to stay calm. What do you get out of this? What would become of you if you crushed me now? Perhaps I just keep doing what I do best. And what is that? I asked, my voice edged with defiance. Winning. Winning at what cost? Keeping your empire built on the backs of others. That is hollow success. You are naive, he said, his voice low, oozing with condescension. You will learn that this world does not reward idealism, it rewards power. Maybe you are right, I replied coolly, holding his gaze. But it seems to me that power cannot protect you from the truth, and I have the truth on my side. He didn't say anything for a moment, just stared at me like gauging what I would do next. The tension was palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife as we held each other's gaze. I could see it then, a flicker of doubt buried beneath layers of arrogance. Then let's see how you intend to wield that truth, he finally said, leaning back in his chair, a sly smile creeping onto his lips. Count on it, I replied, standing my ground. Fine, let's play this game, he said, mocking me. But I do hope you know how to play for keeps. Trust me, Mr. Mendez, I've learned from the best. I turned on my heel and walked out of his office, feeling the weight of the folder in my hand. With each step, I felt lighter. I had entered a lion's den, and yet here I was, walking out stronger than ever. I stepped outside to the bright sunlight and let the fresh air fill my lungs. The world immediately felt larger than my past burdens. The ocean waves crashed rhythmically against the shore, and the salty breeze brushed against my face like a reminder of my new life. I paused for a moment, staring back at the towering building that had once symbolized all that I had lost. Now it was simply a reminder of the battle I couldn't turn away from. My phone buzzed in my pocket, startling me out of my momentary daze. It was a message from Alex, my confidant and supporter throughout my journey. I opened it. Did you do it? Are you okay? With a smile spreading across my face, I typed back quickly. I did it, going public soon. Get ready for the storm. I felt a rush of adrenaline as I thought of the impending battle, the sense of anticipation building within me. I was leading a charge of truth against the darkness, against the very same deceit that had plagued my family and friends. And with that knowledge, I felt a surge of hope. A new beginning was dawning, and I wouldn't let this moment pass by without embracing it fully. As I walked away from the headquarters and into the embrace of the warm sunlight, I could hear laughter and see families walking along the boardwalk nearby. It dawned on me how my fight was not only for me but for them, everyone who had suffered under the weight of corporate greed. I knew it wouldn't be easy and there would be obstacles along the way, but I was ready for them. I had been forged in fire, hardened by betrayal, and no amount of power could extinguish my resolve. I took my first steps into a new chapter of my life, feeling lighter yet stronger, armed with the truth and a determination that would carry me forward. The ocean roared in the background, and as I turned my back on the past, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, I knew one thing: this was just the beginning, and I would fight with everything I had to ensure justice would prevail. My journey toward liberation had just begun.